I've been told the fashion in Ocean's 8 is something to keep you interested. At least my wife thinks so. So at least there's that. But outside of some pretty dresses and some Hollywood glitz and glamour, Ocean's 8 is a sad attempt to showcase that girls can do crime capers as good as the guys can. So, I think it's very astute, the observation.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Clued and Clueless.
What up?
I'm Mario.
I'm Kristen.
And just real quick, thanks for watching, if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple or maybe not Amazon, because I don't think they like me.
But if you're listening on Amazon, we do not think
I don't know how you
find
did
a new
that.
platform.
But also, Google also doesn't like me. So if you're listening on either of those, just send a quick, 5 stars and leave a comment on it, if you could leave a comment on them.
After you insulted them?
I just said.
Find your new platform, but not until you review us.
Review us first and find the platform. It's more the company doesn't like me.
Oh, okay.
They're like, hey, log in. And I was like, I don't know my password. And they're like,
that
hey,
sounds
regardless.
That really solidly sounds like a you issue. That really sounds like user error. I wish I could defend you. I can't.
It definitely is probably user error. But
forgetting your password?
Yeah. But if you're just listening to us and you want to watch us, you can go to YouTube and go to Clued and Clueless at youtube.com.
We're nice to look at. Go to YouTube.
I don't know about that.
Well, I am.
No.
No! Did you say no? I don't want to do this podcast anymore. I'm out. Okay, but for people who are on YouTube, I do have some exciting news. So I'm staying in a hotel right now, and as you may have noticed, I'm drinking a coffee, and I think every single episode we've recorded so far, the hotel has changed the coffee cups. So this time I have a nice little coffee cup that's colored, and it says a cup of ah.
Cup of ah. Speaking of a cup of ah, I am clueless this episode. And Kristen is clued in.
I am. So I'm really excited for you to see this one. This is one that I think that you're really going to enjoy, honestly.
Nice. I've only picked ones that she would enjoy, so.
Well, you literally, on The Longest Yard, you were literally like, I think you're not going to like this movie.
Well, I didn't think because I just know you're Adam Sandler, kind of hate.
I don't hate Adam Sandler. I just don't love Adam Sandler. I'm trying to think of an Adam Sandler movie I really like. Because even 50 First Dates, I don't dislike it, but it's kind of like, meh.
You're like, if Adam Sandler
I like Grown Ups. I think Grown Ups is funny. But that's because I'm a big Kevin James fan.
Okay.
Okay, well, anyway, moving on from that. In a similar vein to Adam Sandler, Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. I love Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
Speed.
Similar career path.
Yeah.
They look identical. Sandra Bullock. One of my favorite actresses. I love her. I truly do. In college, we were supposed to... I took an acting class. Well, I took a few acting classes. And in one of them, we were supposed to say, like... You were supposed to try to figure out what your type is. And you're supposed to, like, ask your friends and, like, whatever and try to figure out what your character type is that you're going to get called in for. And then you were supposed to relate that to, like, actual working actors in the industry.
Yeah.
And I said Sandra Bullock because I get called in for a lot of... She usually plays those very, like... straight and narrow kind of characters, very like no nonsense like kind of characters, you know what I mean? So love her. What? Yes, she does.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, yeah.
That's what she always plays. In The Proposal, she always plays like very like high powered, like just no nonsense women, which personally I love. Don't touch my cell phone. Give me my phone.
I'm moving it.
Oh my god. Jazz texted me, or sent me a Snapchat.
That's why I had to move it.
Okay, so anyway, Sandra Bullock. Love her very much, one of my favorite actresses. So, that being said, I thought I would bring you a Sandra Bullock movie.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question, Mario.
Yes.
Do you think you could rob someone?
I think I'll rob someone.
Do you think you could perform a heist?
Do I have to find 8 friends?
Let me ask you this.
Particular?
Do you think you could pull off a heist if you got 10 people to help you?
10 people? It's not even 8.
If you got 10 people to help you.
10... No, I think I need one more.
Okay, so that being said, I guess you do not think you could pull off a heist if you only had 7 people to help you.
I'm so excited for this. I didn't honestly. You said Sandra Bullock, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of worried.
Tell them what we're watching.
So I'm guessing we're watching Ocean's 8.
Yes, we are.
Okay, awesome. I'm excited because you're like Sandra Bullock. I love Sandra Bullock. I think she's a fantastic actor, and I was like, wow, I'm kind of worried. I watch a lot of Sandra Bullock movies, but that's one I haven't seen, so I'm really surprised, and I'm excited to see this.
I'm very excited for you to see it. I rewatched it again in preparation for this episode, and I still thought it was just as great. Loved it. Now that I've seen Ocean 11, I could draw the parallels, and I understood what was going on a little bit more. I mean, it's, not that I'm not going to understand what happens, but, I understand it. Cool. I understand the backstory a little bit more. So, yeah. So
you're saying that, I haven't seen this.
Yes.
But does it somewhat tie into the Ocean's 11 universe?
Should I tell you or should I let you figure it out?
If you feel like if I need to figure it out, you shouldn't tell me. I'll just watch.
I'm going to let you figure it out because I think that's fun.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, okay, so going into this, what are your expectations for this film as a fan of Ocean's 11? Have you seen the other Ocean films? I don't remember what you said. Okay, so as a fan of the Ocean's franchise, what are things that you would like to see from this? What are things that you are concerned about?
No concerns, and I guess no I need to see, but I think it's going to be funnier. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good dry humor in the Oceans, like the Oceans that I've seen. Yeah, and I feel like this one's going to have a little more goofs and gaffs. Potentially. Okay. Now, I'm going to look up really quickly the Ocean series just to see when in the timeline. Okay, so Ocean's 11 came out in 2001. Yes. Ocean's 12 came out in 2004. Ocean's 13 came out in 2007. And Ocean's 8 has come out in 2018. So there was quite a bit of space between those. Pretty big gap. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, that being said, then let's dive right on into it. I'm really excited for you to see it. You're not going to read the back of the movie case? Oh, yeah, I should. Oceans. Thanks for letting me come on your podcast. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being a guest here. Still learning the lay of the land here. I'm learning how to use a computer too. Okay. Oh no, that's her hardest part. Yeah, literally using any kind of technology. The IMDb one is literally only a line. Let me see if I can find a longer one. Usually when I just Google the movie, that's how it that's what I read from. But if I feel like it's not a great thing, I'll go to IMDb. Let's see. The Wikipedia page? Yeah, if you want a paragraph. Well, because it didn't bring up a little thing. Don't look at it, Mario! I'm sorry. Oh my god. Could you imagine? Okay, here we go. Okay. Debbie Ocean assembles an all-female team of thieves and specialists for a heist during the Met Gala, aiming for the $150 million worth of diamonds around the neck of world-famous actress Daphne Kluger. Daphne Kluger. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, I'm excited to see this. And do you know who's in it? I'm not going to tell you, because I think it's fun to see who ends up popping up. Okay, usually I tell you, but yeah, keep me super in the dark. Obviously Sandra Bullock. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to throw a guess out there. Yeah, because I think I saw something. You know what? Actually, go ahead and guess. Guess first. Here's only my two guesses, because I think I saw them in the trailers. Okay. When this movie was being shown on TV and like that. I think it's Melissa McCarthy's in there. Okay. Because I think she plays ever so slightly a more serious role. Okay. I believe. And then I think Kristen Stewart. Okay. No, to both of them. Okay. Now, if you could, before you watch the movie, if you could assemble a team to try to pull this off, but of actresses. You don't have to come up with a full 7, off the top of your head, but, who would you like to see in this film if you were the casting director? Well, Sandra Bullock, because I think she would just fit no matter what. Agreed. Even if she wasn't in this movie, I would put her in this type of role. Like I said, Melissa McCarthy, because I think she actually has some good acting chops, and she could really show that off. What's her name? What? Don't worry, darling. Oh, Florence Pugh? Yeah, Florence Pugh. Yeah, heck yeah. She could definitely do that. And then I'm gonna say Scarlett Johansson. I'm just gonna say 4 because I don't want to. Okay, no, that's a solid group. Okay, cool. Well, then that being said, we are gonna watch Ocean's 8, and we will be back once Mario has been clued in. Clued in.
Welcome to the podcast.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome back to Clued and Clueless. We just finished watching Ocean's 8.
Yeah, we did.
We sure did.
Oh, no. Mario's already I don't think Mario liked it. Which is messed up because I gave your Adam Sandler film a chance.
No, I did not like it. Okay? Mm-hmm. I just don't think it was on the level of the Ocean's movies to me.
Okay.
Now, I did enjoy it. I truly did.
Okay. The rest of the Ocean's franchise?
Yes.
Okay. So you hate women?
Nah. I'll take it back.
Actually, I'm just kidding. Please. No.
5 stars.
This is a great movie.
But no. I mean, just quick little first. No, I thought it was really good. To me, the only things that really dropped it is just I felt like there's little things part of their plan that didn't make sense to me, and then it kind of just okay,
Like what?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Well, as we go through my notes, I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
You could beat me up for it.
I will. Well, no, I mean, I'm sure it's a heist movie. There's going to be parts that don't make sense.
Definitely.
So I believe you. I'm just interested in seeing
Ocean's 11 and 12.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You know what I mean? There's definitely parts.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a quick recap of the movie?
No, you're going to do it, and I'll give you a minute to do it.
A minute?
Okay, do you want 2 minutes? It's got to be something that's kind of challenging.
Okay. It doesn't have to be challenging,
yes,
but
it does
sure.
have to be challenging. Okay, ready? Set. Go.
Okay, so Sandra Bullock, I don't know, I forgot her first name immediately.
Debbie.
She's Danny Ocean's sister. She's just getting out of prison, and she immediately starts stealing from people. And she realizes, hey, I have this plan that I've written down that I really want to do. I really want to do this heist. So she starts getting a crew. She goes to, I guess, her one of her true friends. You didn't like that word, true friends, but she went to one of her true friends, and they start forming this crew. Rihanna's in there also, and Awkwafina. I was like, wow, that's funny. But they get everyone together, and their whole plan is to steal this old necklace that's worth $150 million, and they're going to put it on Anne Hathaway's neck and steal it from Anne Hathaway. So, one big bumper in the thing is there's a magnet actually on the necklace, so then they have to kind of quickly solve that, and they get Rihanna's sister. They're like, hey, little Rihanna, can you fix my problem? And they fix it for her, and then so that's gone. So they pretty much poison Anne Hathaway. I think she's almost on the verge of death. And
she's fine.
She goes and throws up a lot, and Awkwafina does the quick little switcheroo. And then, then it just starts going kind of wonky for me right there, but we'll talk about that. And then they also somehow involve Sandra Bullock's ex-boyfriend, and they kind of pin it all on him. James Corden came in also. Didn't like that. That dropped it immediately for me because I hate James Corden. I'll say that with my heart.
Say that with my full chest.
But no, so they frame him in this
James,
grand scheme of things. And they all walk away. Oh, they also brought back Yen. Yen came back, and they stole even more jewelry. That's my timer. So in total, they each got $300 million out of this little heist that they did.
38 million. 38,200,000, something like that.
I thought it was 300.
I don't
Maybe
think
it's 38 million.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. 300 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But point is, I thought it was a very good film. I did like how they basically, because this is so 2 things, right?
Okay.
I did like immediately how they kind of just redid the opening for Ocean's 11.
Yeah. There were a lot of tips
callbacks
of the hat, to Ocean's 11.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that. Then she talks about Danny being dead, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of skipping a little bit ahead. And so I'm like, oh, haha, this is I guess Danny just pulling another heist or something like that, right? And then Ruben comes in. I'm like, hey, it's Ruben. And I'm like, Ruben looks a lot older. Yeah. I was like, I know they have makeup and special effects in 2018. They could make him look younger.
Yeah.
And then I saw someone's phone and I was like, oh, this is not a prequel.
Yes.
This does not take place during the same time. It is actually a sequel.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was completely thrown off from the get-go.
Gotcha.
That's why I'm like, oh, that's why he looks older. And I was like, oh.
You know, and that's interesting because I think that the title, like, almost subconsciously makes you think it's gonna be a prequel, but it's not.
That, like, the title alone, like Ocean's 8.
Yeah.
Because you go Ocean's 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
And then you go Ocean's 8, so it's like, in my brain, it's kind of like a Star Wars thing.
You think that the timeline goes back, but it doesn't. They just use less people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, it literally wasn't until the phone that someone put on an iPhone, and I was like, oh. Because I think they did it, like, literally in the next scene, but I just completely missed it. Mm-hmm. But it was like, when they started talking, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this is a sequel. This is not taking place in, like, the early 2000s there, or, like, 90s there, or whatever. Right. So that, oh my god, it's a sequel. And then one thing, going to Sandra Bullock getting out of jail, right? Mm. She immediately, like, starts stealing, right? Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's her character. I understand it. You know, she's kind of like, she's a little more of a ruthless Danny, definitely. And I was like, but she's breaking the rules. There's 3 rules, and she broke one of them. Yeah. And I was like, don't steal from one who doesn't deserve it.
She lives by a different set of rules. She's not Danny.
I guess she does. What do you think? How did you feel about the movie when you saw it?
I liked the movie. And now keep in mind, I saw this movie before I saw Ocean's 11, so I had a completely different experience watching this. This was my first introduction to the concept of the Ocean movies, and so the whole concept of like 3 rules, not in my brain at all. But I like it. This movie is more like my pacing. Like I think you're right. I think it had a little bit more humor. It wasn't as monotonous, which was one of my complaints with the other one, is that it was just all very same toned. And I don't like the word monotonous because and I think I said this in the last one, because it has a certain connotation with it that like it's boring, and I didn't think it was boring. It's just, it was all the same tone. Yeah. This one had like more hills and valleys because they included more jokes. There was more like interesting like pausing, if that makes sense. The pacing of this movie was different, and it kept my brain more engaged throughout the actual film, which is something that I really enjoyed from it. I also like how smart the movie is, in that she does start immediately stealing, right? But she starts like, the way that she does it is so clever. And one of my complaints with the other movie is that like everything just kind of, you either don't really understand how it happens and you don't need to, like it's just you're watching these guys do cool flips or like whatever, it's just like the effect of it, or it's just like very physical, the like heist. But this heist is very smart. It's very like mentally driven, and that's how these women operate. So she's not like, she goes in, she's so smart about it. She starts putting things in her bag. So for those who haven't seen the movie, she walks into she immediately gets out of jail and needs to start getting things to resume her life. So she walks into a mall and she starts taking some like makeup off the off the shelves and whatever, and she goes up and she asks to return it, and the lady's like, oh, you can't, do you have a receipt? And she says, no, I don't have a receipt, but it's unopened. The packaging is completely unopened. Everything is brand new. She's like, oh, I really need your receipt. And she's like, I literally just got this last week, blah, blah, blah. Do you have the credit card? No, I don't have the credit card. This is ridiculous. You know what? I'll just keep it. Can I have a bag so that she can get out without the thing going off? So like, smart. The way that she gets her hotel room, she just is you see very quickly how observant she is of her surroundings and how quickly she can think on her feet to piece something together, which is something that we don't necessarily get, I feel, in Ocean's 11. Because once again, in Ocean's 11, I felt like we got 0 backstory, 0 character development for pretty much anybody. We don't get a lot of backstory, we don't get a lot of character development, but even just the first couple scenes, you build the understanding and the respect for Deb Ocean's brain, because you see how she starts to like maneuver all of these different obstacles to make life go the way that she wants. Yeah. Ocean's 11, he just walks out and just starts telling people what to do, and you're just like, I guess I'll trust him because he's the protagonist. And so, you know what I mean? Like, we don't get to see his smarts in action as much as we do with Sandra Bullock's character. And I think that ends up carrying throughout the movie. Generally, you get to see how a lot of this pieces together a little bit more. Instead of just watching the action unfold, you're following exactly what they're doing to trick the people around them, and you get to be a part of that, which I enjoyed more instead of just watching events unfold. Does that make sense?
I can totally see that. I mean, it's definitely two different films. Like, I'm really glad it wasn't just literally a woman's version of Ocean's
exactly,
11. And saying that, going back a little bit, because you cut it like monotonous. Yeah. One thing that I liked is what they did keep in this movie was the editing style. I don't think I brought it up in the
no, you didn't.
Ocean's 11.
That's something I didn't think about at all.
Like, there's a scene in Ocean's 11, right? They're in the elevator and they're talking, and they're like, well, who are we gonna get, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when they're gonna go talk to Ruben. Well, as the elevator door closes, the scene is happening. So that was like their version of a cut, pretty much.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
And they do it here also in pretty cool little ways.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, oh, that's really cool that they kept to that same cutting style.
Yeah.
Because it gives it a different feel for a movie. Like, a lot of movies, it's just quick cuts. Yeah. And obviously, there's quick cuts here. But like, just adding its own style.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be like a heist movie, so why not do like stuff
Something
like that? Make it
like
suave and cool. Just keep that feeling.
Yeah. I also really quickly wanted to comment on in regards to the cons being smarter, I feel, in this movie. It also, to me, makes it feel... Relatable is not the right word, but, like, I guess a little bit more engaged because... Or, like, invested. Because when I watched Ocean's 11... I feel like, at least when I watch movies, there's always a part of it that's like, could I do this? You know, in some way, sense, or form. Like, could this happen in my life? Whatever, regardless of what movie it is. And so I'm watching it and I'm thinking, you know, can I pull this off? And like, in that situation, no, obviously. First of all, anyone who knows me can tell you right off the bat, there's no way I could pull off a heist. But like, when you're watching it, it's like, okay, no, because I don't have like the gear to do it, you know? Like, when it was the guys, it's like, I don't have the gear, I don't have the money to do it, like, I don't have the people around me, whatever. When I'm watching Ocean's 8, it's like, am I smart enough to do this? Like, am I, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Like, am I capable of talking my way around people? You know what I mean? And, like, sneaking through and... It's a different way that they pulled off the cons, and it felt more attainable. Not that I could do it, but it felt more like, oh, okay, this is like through who they are and like their decisions, and not so much like who they have surrounding them and the money that they have to buy things, if that makes sense.
I would even say, though, that they had, because I wrote it down, I was like, they have way better gear in this movie. Like, even if like that super 3D printer.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, the glasses and all that. There's stuff in there that I was like, whoa, you know?
Yeah, well, you're right. Because not to discount that they do have gear, but so much of this is based on just, like, your smarts. You know what I mean? So much of it is, like, oh, we have to set this up perfectly where we're going to plant somebody to get a job working for the Met Gala, who then eventually is going to request a nutritionist. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
Yeah, exactly.
It's much more elaborate. And again, and this is where it comes back to my qualms with Ocean's 11, because maybe that plan was elaborate, but they never let us see it. Like, we just watched it happen, so...
Yeah. I know, like... Definitely, I think the only person who was, like, on the inside in Ocean's 11 was Bernie Mac, when they transfer him as a car dealer.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I was noticing in this. I was like, almost every single person besides, like, Rihanna until, like, the end was, like, working the gala.
Yeah.
And also I was like, it's very interesting because, like, again, I'm just bouncing off Ocean's 11. Because I feel like you can't not. You know?
For sure.
Everyone obviously has a job in Ocean's 11, but when they're in disguise, they're never, like, truly working.
Yeah.
They're just kind of like, oh, we're wearing this. As long as we walk and do something, no one's gonna... Like, whenever the two brothers are dressed up as, like, caterers or anything like that. Or when Brad Pitt comes in as a doctor. The only time they're all together and they're all in disguise is, like, when they're dressed up as SWAT team.
Yeah.
In this movie, you literally have, like, Awkwafina as, like, one of the waiters, I guess. You have, oh my gosh, Velma. I just forgot her name. Like,
Velma?
She's in the new HBO Velma.
What does she do in the movie?
Mindy. She's a chef. You have like you
Sarah Paulson.
Sarah
Paulson?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you looking at me like that for?
Who's Sarah Paulson?
Okay, so Sarah Paulson, she's in American Horror Story. I know that's like her big credit, but I've never seen it. Oh, she's also in... Is it Bird Box? I think she's in... I know Sandra Bullock is in Bird Box, but I think she's in Bird Box too.
I've seen that, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I have no idea who Sarah Paulson is.
Yeah, whatever.
Even like right now, you have to literally describe who she is.
She's the one with the blonde hair who was working the gala and requested the nutritionist.
There we go.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But yes, everyone has their roles, you know what I mean? And I thought it was very interesting that everyone's like actually in this doing something.
Yeah.
And I loved it all up to that point.
Okay.
And then when the actual heist, halfway through the actual heist, is when it started falling downhill.
Oh no, okay.
And it's not even like it was like a bad or anything.
Yeah,
It's just I didn't understand it, I guess.
Gotcha.
Like,
because you're a man.
I guess
and
so.
women pulled this off.
Yes. So.
After a certain point, the TV's after a certain point, your eyes can't see it anymore. The TV is a blank screen. Only women can watch. Your eyes haven't evolved like ours have.
I guess not.
It's a different frequency we're watching on.
So, here's where I guess I got completely lost.
Gotcha.
I knew the whole point was to 3D print, like, the necklace.
Yes.
To re-put it on her, like, they find it, and then, you know, that's supposed to buy them some time, obviously. Right. But, why have Mindy's character? What's her whole point of cutting up the necklace in that chef room?
Yes. So, when they're all leaving, did you notice that they're all wearing the diamonds?
So, yes, I do notice that. And that's just, like, I don't understand. Because, like, at that point, you know, they found the necklace, right? Mm-hmm. Everything's going back to normal. You can easily just have Awkwafina leave. Or anyone just leave. Yeah. No one's going to notice. So, it's like, well, I know, like, they're splitting it, like, 7 ways at this point. But it's like, it's just...
Well, they end up selling the jewels.
Yeah.
That's not even the point of it. I think the point is just this plan is so airtight. Mm-hmm. There is, like... If something goes, like, everything is planned 8 steps ahead so that even if something goes wrong, it won't blow the whole thing up. If they just had one person walk away with the necklace, there is a chance that if anything goes wrong, all their eggs are in that one basket, the necklace is gone, it's all screwed up.
Okay.
If you give everyone a different piece, there is a 0% chance now that anyone is going to recognize the diamond. So now there's no way that anybody will find it, period, point blank. 2, I think also another piece of it is now not all your eggs are in the same basket. And then I think also they're eventually going to have to resell value, right? Like you have to, you can't sell that necklace, so you're going to have to break it up and sell them as individual pieces of jewelry. So I think that one less so, but I think it's the first 2. One, not having all your eggs in the same basket, and also you can't, Okay,
that definitely makes more sense.
And then cinematic value, right? Being able to get the shot of all of them walking out with, like, the diamonds on is a pretty big flex, you know?
I will say to that, though, another point that I was like, that didn't really make sense, is obviously, like, they have this whole thing planned out with the cameras and all that, right? They know the blind spot of the restroom and everything. But I was like, but other than that, everyone's, like, walking around. Like, you would eventually see Awkwafina on camera.
Oh, yeah. Yes!
And you would eventually not see, like, Rihanna on camera and then appear on camera. So, to me, that's just like, well, why dress them up? You know what I mean? Why put more attention on them while they're leaving wearing the jewelry? Because they're in already a disguise. And so they re-put on another disguise. And so it's like, if we're, like, planning through all this, it's like, isn't that going to be kind of, like, noticeable? It's like, well, why'd this person just switch clothing?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I can see that piece. I guess that would just be a little hole because, I don't know.
Like I said, there's just little holes that I was seeing that I was like, that doesn't really make sense.
Well, because I'm trying to think. I guess that the thought there, because the point of making the blind spot is so that no one is seen. None of the women are seen outside of the bathroom. So no one can be placed at that point in that period of time. And then I guess the thought is that the Met Gala is just so congested with people that, like, there's no way, like, even if they're going through footage, they are not going to go through footage to find random people and see, oh, this person was a busboy and now this person is walking down in a dress. They are really only going to be concerned about who was in that vicinity during that time.
And that definitely makes sense there also.
But I get what you're saying. If someone did decide to do that, they would. I just think that's a 1 in a million shot that somebody would see these people with
$150 million necklace. I feel like security really should pick it up.
I guess so.
And then, like, my final little, like, small gripe. Yeah. Besides just James Corden being in this movie.
Except for that whole thing.
That's a huge gripe. But his character coming in, right? He's just an insurance person. He doesn't, like he said, he doesn't really care. Yeah. He's like, I'm not trying to bust you. Yeah. He's like, just give me the necklace, or I don't care. Yeah. But I was like, he knows, like, who she is. Yeah. You know, they have, like,
got a history with the family.
Yeah, or whatever, right? But in saying that, I was like, okay, well, why doesn't the museum, like, arrest her? And to me, I was just like, I thought it was going to happen like a Danny at the end of Ocean's 11. He goes to jail for 6 months for breaking his parole or whatever. Yeah. She's obviously trespassing. She's obviously not supposed to be there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because, like, she wouldn't have
everyone else has a good, like, alibi. You know, they're working there. Except her. Well, she has her fake invitation. But, again, he immediately knows who she is.
But would she have, if Sarah Paulson's character is actually working for the Met Gala, I bet she had a real ticket to the Met Gala. There's no way that's fake.
Well, yeah. Well, they faked her name, like, to get her on the list. You know what I mean? And that's why she was doing that whole German accent and everything. Oh. She was like a German, like, celebrity, I'm assuming. Right. I don't know. That's just that one part, because obviously he.
But I don't think that's a plot hole, because she had an actual invitation. She was invited.
But she's not who she said she was. You know, she's saying she's Helena. Something, you know what I mean?
But I guess he's the only one that knows that.
Yeah, because he does ask Anne Hathaway's character, is like, do you know who this person is? Yeah. He's the only one that calls her out.
He's the only one that knows that's not her real name. Yeah. So, unless he blows the whistle, which he doesn't, there's no one would think to arrest her. She's just a guest at the Met Gala.
Exactly. Yeah. And like he said, he doesn't really care. He's like, he got caught out here. He's like, just give me the necklace or whatever. So, again, no one at the Met is obviously going to know who she is. Right. Unless, they're super vetting like everyone and all this stuff. So, but that was just like my small little thing. I was like, I think that's like a small little, like, callback. Not like James Corden himself, but like with Ocean's 12 or 13 or like that same kind of premise. Happens like around that same like thing. Right. Where it's like, again, they don't care. Yeah. They know who he is, but it's like, look, just give us it. Come on. So, but no, overall, I really liked the movie. I did like that even the small little cameos from Ruben and Yin. You know, get some of the original guys in the movie. Yeah,
and you know, Matt Damon and what's the other person? Oh. Sacre bleu, I forgot we were going to speak in French accents for this entire thing. We can start now. Matt Damon and Carl Reiner.
I have no idea what she's going on about.
We were going to talk in our French accents for this entire podcast. Anyway, Matt Damon and Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
How do you say it? Okay, I just wanted you on record saying you also didn't know.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about right now.
So Matt Damon and the guy that Danny sees at the horse races, the older guy.
Oh, yes.
They were supposed to have cameos.
Saul.
But their cameos got cut.
Oh, that kind of sucks.
So they got lost. Also, Sandra Bullock, and this is all according to my research online, so, you know,
online
take
research.
All of this with a grain of salt. But apparently, originally, Gary Ross wanted Jennifer Lawrence to play, I think it said that they wanted Jennifer Lawrence to be Anne Hathaway's character, or Sandra Bullock's character. And then they ended up, there were scheduling issues, and so Sandra Bullock came on board.
I couldn't see her in either of those roles. I feel like this was like written for Sandra Bullock because she just has, like we talked about it kind of earlier, she kind of has that like personality.
I feel like I love Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's incredibly talented. I think she could play Sandra Bullock's character. I wouldn't want her to. I like Sandra Bullock in this role. So I think she could play Anne Hathaway's character. And I think she could pull that off pretty well. But then you know what? Also, I found out through researching, I also found out that Sandra Bullock was originally supposed to be, was supposed to play Jennifer Lawrence's character in Silver Linings Playbook. With, what's his face? Bradley Cooper.
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't seen that movie.
Great movie.
I was thinking...
Let me write that down.
You were saying that, and I was thinking of...
Just the monkey in the brain.
What was I thinking? The football movie that Sandra Bullock is actually in.
Oh, The Blind Side.
Yes, I was thinking of that. I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, Sandra Bullock isn't
No, Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, well, I'll remember that.
No, yeah, remember that. Put that in your back pocket. I think did you say you had a review?
Well, I was gonna say, would you? So, I've only seen Ocean's 11, the 2001 one, so I've never seen the other ones. But you, as someone who's seen, you haven't seen the Frank Sinatra one, right? You've just seen the recent franchise. Okay. So now that you've seen those and you've seen this one, would you be surprised to hear that this movie scored lower in all categories, almost all categories across IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes? Because I know you said that you liked Ocean's 11 better, but would you be surprised that that was also the agreement for critics and audiences on both of those platforms?
So I'm going to look at the camera when I say this. I'm not surprised because I feel like people really wanted to, for whatever reason, attack an all-women's cast doing this type of movie. I feel like it was hurt from the get-go. Like I said, I actually really enjoy this. It doesn't matter if it was an all-women's cast. I just think it was good.
Yeah. And sequels or spin-offs are already difficult.
Yeah.
Like, they're already, especially, like, if the original movie, or in this case, movies, are well-loved, and, like, held very dearly to people, that's already a huge mountain that you're up against. You know what I mean? Before anything else is even layered on top of that, in this case, the fact that it's becoming an all-female cast. So that being said, actually, I'm going to read you some review excerpts from this movie and the Ocean's 11 movie that we watched. So if you can see if you can guess which reviews are for which, okay?
Yeah. Oh, this is fun.
These are taken from the ratings on IMDb, the ratings with the highest votes.
Users.
So these are audience.
Oh, no.
Yes, okay? Testing. I got close to the mic and I can't not talking to it. Okay. Okay. Ready? I hope that was a jump scare for people with headphones.
It's going to be a jump scare for me when I have to hear it and cut it out.
When you heard, no, don't cut it. Don't. I hope you're having a nice day today. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Okay. Okay. Review number 1. It's so slick that you don't mind that it couldn't possibly work in real life, but instead it just appears so clever.
I'm going to say that's Ocean's 8. Oh, wow.
It's Ocean's 11. Now, far too convenient heist and its various eyebrow-raising conveniences.
Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 8.
Was that actually Ocean's 8? Okay.
Yep.
I feel like Ocean's 11 had way more
I agree. There's going to be a theme to these reviews. It's great to see actors come together in a movie and interact so well without having to be pretty or the badass heroes in the movie.
Okay, that's Ocean's 11. Yeah.
The women primp, preen, and try to look good as eye candy in a comedy that has no laughs or a thriller that offers no thrills.
Wow, that's totally Ocean's 11.
Interesting. Fresh-faced, extremely cool and slick. Yes, it's shallow, but so what? Eat popcorn and enjoy. And while it might not be the world's most original and inspiring movie, it's a solid piece of entertainment, pleasing critics and audiences alike.
I want to say that's Ocean's 8, but I feel like it's
Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Born out of Hollywood's recent spat of female-driven updates and redos that have been born out of the industry trying to make up for past mistakes and inequalities, perceived or otherwise, Ocean's 8 should be a silly yet entertaining ride, but this mundane exercise in wannabe hipness and sassy smarts is the type of film that exudes self-worth and believes itself to be something that unfortunately it is not.
I wonder which movie that is.
Next. It's cinematic junk food of the highest order, but then, since when has junk food not been satisfying?
Ocean's 11.
And then last one. I've been told the fashion in Ocean's 8 is something to keep you interested. At least my wife thinks so. So at least there's that. But outside of some pretty dresses and some Hollywood glitz and glamour, Ocean's 8 is a sad attempt to showcase that girls can do crime capers as good as the guys can. So, I think it's very astute, the observation that you made, that it adds an additional obstacle that this is an all-female cast.
It's so silly, because, like, going to the coincidence one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Ocean's 11 relies a lot on, like, yeah, they plan it out a lot, right?
Yeah.
But there is a lot of coincidences.
You can't say words longer than 7 letters.
I had my coffee today. I need coffee. But anyway, I feel like that happens way more in Ocean's 11 than 8. Mainly because, like, they plan, like, way better.
Yeah.
Like, what...
Yep.
What are you talking about? Did you even watch the movie?
Exactly. And actually, so back at the beginning of that little game, that little exercise when I was still pretending that we were trying to guess which one was which, they did actually specifically point out what they thought were the conveniences. Mm-hmm. And the conveniences, it says it's various eyebrow-raising conveniences.
Before you read them.
Oh, yeah.
The only one I can truly say, that's convenient, right, is her sister.
Yes.
That's, like, the only one.
Agreed. Okay. No, it says far too convenient, and it's heist and its various eyebrow-raising conveniences. Parentheses, gang members getting jobs at Vogue magazine and random catering contracts. Which is that was planned. Like, I was listening to Violating Community Guidelines. Shout out Brittany Broski and Sarah Shower. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, for subscribing.
I hope they are.
They are. Don't worry. But I was listening to them, and something that they talk about a lot, being two comedians, being two non-male comedians, is they talk a lot about how difficult it is for women to just get past the initial, oftentimes subconscious, but the initial assumption that women are just not smart enough to pull off certain things. So, like, the assumption that that's a how do you think that she just fell into a job at Vogue? You think that wasn't planned, that wasn't manufactured, that wasn't manipulated? Like, come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, it's just this idea that, like, oh, well, that's convenient, instead of, like, well, no, clearly they clearly planned this.
Yeah.
Come on. But yeah, anyway, they talk about that a lot, and they talk about that in comedy as well, about how difficult it is for people that are not men to make jokes, because a lot of time, and especially women, because especially a lot of times, like, unless you are very explicitly saying, like, I'm being sarcastic, this is a joke, there's an idea that women aren't smart enough to make clever jokes. And so sometimes you'll make a joke online, and then some man will come along and be like, oh, well, yeah, because you're supposed to do this or that and whatever. And it's like, yes, this was sarcastic. This is obviously, I'm not an idiot. Like, can you... Anyway, whatever. Everyone go listen to Violating Community Guidelines.
That's a plot point in one of the Always Sunny episodes.
Oh, really?
Have you ever seen that show?
No.
Totally. Maybe we'll watch it.
I think I would really like it based on what I know.
It's so funny, right? But one of the things, they have Dee. She's, like, really depressed at this point. And she goes and does, like, comedy, right? Mm-hmm. But all her jokes are just self-deprecating.
Yeah.
And so everyone thinks they're funny, but it's really she's just depressed and just saying whatever,
no!
right? And so, like, when she kind of starts getting, like better, happier, because everything's kind of going right, she starts trying to tell, like, real jokes, and then everyone hates her.
Oh, my God. But, like, it's also, like, they in a lot of these reviews, and I just took excerpts, obviously, but a lot of these reviews were like, oh yeah, like we took Hollywood leading men, traditionally very handsome, blah, 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 whatever, and like they just had great chemistry and like they just came together and made this great movie and this and that, whatever. But then the women, it was, oh, the women are just showing off and they're just eye candy and they're this and that. Those men were cleaned up for casino scenes. They were in tuxes. That's the whole thing.
They're all cleaned up for the most part.
And these women are going to the Met Gala. Yeah. Are they not supposed to be dressed up? And it's like, obviously no, they're going to be dressed up, but it is just this idea that like women cannot exist. And especially when they are like all dolled up, women just cannot exist without the idea that it is for the purpose of being perceived. It is for the purpose of being eye candy for this and that. It's not for the heist that they're trying to pull off because they're at the freaking Met Gala.
Going off one of the reviews that you said about like this is just Hollywood's attempt at redoing an old IP and all that. Yeah. And I was watching the credits and I was like, oh, it's Steven Soderbergh. I was like the guy who literally directed the original movies and he was the executive producer.
Yeah.
So it's like he even signed on to do this thing. So it's like you can't even say it's like, oh, it's just Hollywood refreshing ideas.
No.
When he's actively putting his name on here and like being the executive producer for it.
Yeah.
It's just silly.
It is just silly, and it's just, again, like, when I saw the credits, or the trailer for this movie back in 2018, I was very excited to see it. I was like, oh, this seems super interesting, blah, blah, blah. And I like heist movies, like I said. I like anything that has to do with, like, heists, or, like, where they're, like, spies, or, like, whatever. I like that kind of stuff. So, I was super excited to see it, and I had wanted to get into the Oceans franchise. I just hadn't seen any of the movies yet, so I was like, this is perfect. I'll watch this. And I remember I was with my family, and we were trying to figure out what movie to watch, and I was like with my extended family, and we were all tossing out ideas, and I go, and you know, no one can decide on a movie, and I'm like with my male cousins who are like around my age, and I'm like, oh, perfect, let's go watch Ocean's 8, a heist movie, like come on, everyone likes a good heist movie. And one of my cousins literally said, he said, oh no, the one with all the girls, and I said, yeah, and he goes, that's a chick flick. And I looked at him and I was like, do you know what Ocean's 8 is about? And he kind of looked at me and was like, you know, it's a heist, right? You know that it's a heist movie. He was like, yeah, but it's all women. And I was like, so that makes it a chick flick? Are you kidding me? I was angry. I was like, are you kidding? Just because. Anyway, frustration.
It's like calling a Sucker Punch chick flick just because like.
Just because women are in it.
Yeah. It takes place in, like, a women's, like, penitentiary, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like, come on. There's literally no piece of this that is... Anyway, whatever. But, like I was saying, you know, a lot of things praising, like, the men's chemistry and stuff on... in their movie. But then it was a really big rumor when this movie was coming out... that was very destructive. A very big rumor that was circulating that all of the women were constantly at each other's throats and this and that, whatever. And they had to come out multiple times and be like, no, like we're all in a big group chat together. We're constantly laughing together, this and that, whatever. And it's just this idea that women can't work together without being catty and this and that, whatever. Yeah. But when men get together, it's a great time and everyone's got a scotch in their hand and a cigar in the other and they're making a great movie and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so dumb.
It's stupid.
Like I said, I enjoy and I knew, like, when you brought up the whole reviews, I was like, I was like, this is going to be a bunch of film bros who are just like, oh, yeah. It's like, okay, first of all, like, I do enjoy the Ocean series, but it's like, you definitely have to go into that with, like, a lot of disbelief. Yeah. And it's a lot of just, like, again, they're just going to waltz in and do everything.
Exactly.
And it's like, in this one, you see a lot more, like, planning. And even though, like I said, halfway through, like, the heist, I was like, that kind of doesn't really make sense. But I was like, I enjoyed, like, everything up to it.
Right.
The coincidence I didn't enjoy was, like, Rihanna's sister. Whatever. You know? But it's like, okay, that's just a small thing.
Right.
That's not going to take away from this film.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's, again, like, you just have to, like you said, you just have to suspend your disbelief. Exactly. Which is, like, you're going to have to...
Even this film, suspend your disbelief. Yeah. It's just a silly heist movie.
I know! Like, it's obviously... And that's what, like, grinds my gears, is that the reviews for Ocean's 11 were all, like... Yeah, like, it's not a good movie, but, like, just enjoy it.
Yeah,
like, it doesn't make sense, but just have a good time.
They're not cinematic masterpieces in any way.
Oh, my God. But whatever. We don't need to gripe on this. We would be remiss if we did not touch on that because that is a big piece of this film and how it ended up doing at the box office, I'm sure, and like, you know, all that other stuff. You can't have this conversation about taking a traditionally all male franchise and flipping it and, you know, think that there is absolutely no repercussions of that or consequences of that. Yeah.
You know, that sucks. And I'm pretty sure, like, there was talks for, like, sequels for this movie. Yeah. And I'm sure, like...
I think there were supposed to be sequels.
I think there is still talks. I don't know if it's supposed to be, like, an HBO or Netflix thing at this point, but...
And to be fair, this movie also came out in 2018. So by the time that, like, it's kind of run its course and, like, they would start production on another movie... We're probably getting to be end of 2019, early 2020, and the pandemic hits. So,
that's true.
You know, so we have no idea if maybe it was in conversation and it just was not feasible. Honestly, who knows?
Who knows? Excited to see where the future goes, though.
I know. I would like to see more of these. And again, as just a huge Sandra Bullock fan and a fan of these kinds of movies, I would love to see more films come out of it. Yeah.
I think I read an interview from Sandra Bullock after she filmed The Lost City. That she's taking a break from acting.
Really?
She's focusing more like on her family. She has done a lot. She's had a giant career.
She has so many credits. Like you know, everyone can take a break whenever they want. But sometimes there's actors who, you know, do like 1 or 2 big movies and then take a break, which is totally valid, but like she has just been cranking movies out for like her whole career and like huge movies,
and they're never like titles. Not bad.
No, yeah.
And it's like you see some like insane that it's like okay, you're kind of just doing movies. That, it's almost like the
passion
new
projects.
Movies. Yeah, but it's like Sandra Bullock seems like she actually just like she just looks like she just loves acting and just like wants to get onto these like big projects.
Yeah,
and so it's like again she's for as long as I've been watching movies like from. The 90s.
Yeah.
Like, from when I started watching, like, 2000s, from the 90s going all the way to now, I feel like there hasn't been, like, a year where she hasn't really been in a movie.
She's just always in something. And again, they're huge. I saw a few weeks ago a movie that she was in with Bradley Cooper. It was called All About Steve. It came out in 2009. And I had never seen this movie before, but I watched it because I love Sandra Bullock and I love Bradley Cooper. And it was one of his earlier credits. But it was so interesting because, like I said, she, like we've been talking about, she usually plays characters in the same vein. But this character, she was still very intelligent, but she was like she was not good socially. She couldn't really connect with people. The whole thing was that she was like this big nerd pretty much and like could not take social cues from the people around her, and like she ends up following this guy. Like they go on one date, she gets really attached to him and ends up like following him across the country. It's a funny movie, it's a cute movie, it's endearing, but I really enjoyed seeing that because it was a kind of character that I don't typically get to see her play. So that was super cool. And she did great. Like she's a wonderful performer. I really love her. Sandra Bullock, if you would like to sit down and have a cup of coffee with me and discuss performance, that would be fantastic. I'll be waiting on your call. Email Clued at.
You have any more notes? Because I think I ran out. I got like one more really, but it's nothing important.
Well, say it.
Oh, it's just like...
Don't leave the people wondering.
You're right. Well, maybe it's my secret book. No one can hack this.
Whatever.
You know, my whole thing is like, do you think Danny is actually dead?
I don't know. If this movie stands alone, it's up in the air. I think that they were probably leaving room for, if they do make sequels, for him to either cameo or for him to be a part of another movie. Because I think it'd be great if they did another one and she finds out he's not really dead, and they do a heist together, you know. Or maybe she tries to pull off a heist, and in the middle of it, they end up finding out he's not. Like, they're trying to rob someone, and Danny's, like, in the den having, you know, a cocktail with that person. And she's like, whoa!
He's, like, doing the heist already. He's beating her to the punch.
Ooh, that would be so
That's really good.
If she ends up finding out that like somebody's competing and at the end it ends up being her brother.
Steven, get on it.
Come on, you guys. We got it. Also, I would now like to audition because I was part of the planning process. I feel I'm owed that.
Oh, and speaking of your backstory thing, I did like they did like 10 years or what?
Yeah.
What was it
well,
like?
I don't think it was a specific time, but they just kind of
they just
showed
like,
where they all kind of end up and what they do.
Oh no, not that part. I meant the it's like middle of the movie explaining like how he wronged her.
Oh, how the
they
guy...
do like a flashback.
Yes, exactly. And like this is another one where like there's not really like a villain, like, you know, like not in the traditional sense, but we just know that we don't like that guy. But you know why. We get a little, and it took like 3 minutes, not even to like do the backstory, but it's like, okay, yeah, obviously she doesn't like him. He sold her out, you know, you learn a little bit about their relationship, you learn that she trusted him and that he sold her out.
Yeah. It does do better in like character building, I would say.
Yeah, and they don't do much. Like, it's still not a lot of character building because, like, there's not a lot of time in films like this, especially if you're going to include a comedy element. So I'm willing to give these kinds of films a little bit of grace when it comes to character development, but they gave us a little bit more, you know?
Yeah. Not saying a lot, but it gave us a little bit more.
But just a little bit more. And, you know, one of my gripes with Ocean's 11 was that at the very end, they had that moment where they were all like, man, we pulled it off, you know? And, but like they hadn't really taken the time to develop those relationships. In this one, they took a little bit more time, but it was so subtle, but it paid off, which is why the last one, I think it frustrated me so much because it's like there's a way to do it where it doesn't have to be super time consuming. So it was in little things. It was in Awkwafina and Mindy Kaling, like Awkwafina teaching Mindy Kaling's characters how to swipe on Tinder. Like you see a little bit of the character development. You see all of them together, like eating pizza together and asking questions. Like when Anne Hathaway's character comes in, they're all just hanging out in the den, and you can just see it in their body language. Like they're sitting, like I forgot which two characters it is, but one of the characters is sitting in a chair, and one of the other women is sitting right in front of her and leaning back on her chair. You can see that there has been some sort of camaraderie that has come out of this situation. And we just didn't get that in Ocean's 11, so it didn't lead to as good of a payoff at that last scene where you want to feel like, yes, we overcame this together. It didn't feel like that. And, you know, it still had that sense of we're doing business together because their last scene together is all of them on the bus, like not even acknowledging each other. So it's still like, okay, we did our job and now we're all going our separate ways. But you just got that moment of appreciation when they're all seeing all the jewels together and they're all hanging out and they're eating pizza, they're having beer together. You can tell that they became maybe not friends, but there was a mutual respect that grew out of doing this together. And then they go their separate ways. And it's just, you know, I appreciated that. It was small and it was subtle, but it leads to a much better payoff in the end.
Yeah, completely agree.
Also, Mario didn't know who Helena Bonham Carter is, so I need to explain to you who that is. She was married to Tim Burton. Yeah, she was married to Tim Burton, and she traditionally, this was a very different kind of character for her. Traditionally, she plays a lot more eccentric kind of characters. So she was in the movie make of Sweeney Todd. She played Mrs. Lovett. I believe she voiced, she was in a lot of Tim Burton films. She voiced a character in The Corpse Bride. She's in Harry Potter. Have you seen the Harry Potter movies? I can't remember.
So I've only seen up to Goblet of Fire. Okay. But I do not really remember the movies.
So you haven't seen her in Harry Potter then.
And I was making a face just for audio listeners. I have not seen Corpse Bride either. Or Sweeney Todd.
Did you see Alice in Wonderland, the new one? The one that had Johnny Depp in it? She played the Queen of Hearts in that.
No.
Okay. Well, all you need to know is that she typically plays much more eccentric and eclectic kind of characters.
I got that from like just watching this. Is like she definitely wasn't giving off like every other person kind of vibe, where she was like kind of looking around.
I mean, her character was unique in her own way, but this character was a lot smaller. She usually plays like either like deranged characters or just like characters that take up a lot more space than this character does, if that makes sense. I just pulled up pictures of her characters.
Oh, so, she's her in the Harry Potter.
Yes, yes.
Wow, I would have never guessed that.
Because this is a very, very different kind of person.
She's in Sleepy Hollow.
Where are you looking at? I think you're right.
To the far right.
Over here?
Up one.
This?
Yeah.
This is Sweeney Todd.
Oh, that's not Sleepy Hollow?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But she would be in... Oh, she's in Les Mis?
I've never seen Les Mis.
Stay tuned. Clued and Clueless. Les Mis.
Oh, no.
It's a long one, so you better settle in. But yeah, she typically plays much larger characters. And sometimes they're a little crazy. A lot of times they're a little crazy. So this was a very, very different kind of character for her.
I definitely need to see more of her.
Yeah, she's incredible. She is an incredible performer. She's another one where, Helena, call me. Thank you. We'll start a group chat, me, you, and Sandra, and we'll just kind of hang out. I'm making friends for this podcast. Okay, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Clued and Clued. Thank you guys so much.
This is really
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Clued and Clueless. If you want to follow me on Instagram, my handle is at Kristen Hosty, KristenHosty. If you want to follow Clued and Clueless, our Instagram is at Clued and Clueless. It's Clued and Clueless podcast on Instagram. On Twitter, it's at Clued_Clueless. If you want to email us, which please do, email us suggestions, comments, opinions for new things. We're open to both of us being clueless while y'all are clued.
Definitely.
Feel free to email us at clued@cluedandclueless.com. And then if you want to follow my friend Mario over here.
Yeah, if you want to follow me for whatever reason, it's on Instagram. It's MER_RIO. And if you're only an audio listener on Spotify or Apple or Amazon or wherever, maybe not Google, because I'm still trying to work on that. But if you want to watch us instead, we're on YouTube at Clued and Clueless Podcast. So check us out there also and subscribe. Give us a like.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, guys.